starting Sunmark Limited to meet one of the most successful businessmen in the country. He started his business career from a shed with just £2 in 1987, and now, nearly 30 years later, the value of his company is counted in hundreds of millions. He is chairman of the British Sikh Association and in 2012 was asked to join the Princess Trust Edwards Fellowship. This demonstrates a passion for helping young people, and as part of this passion, he's an advisor on apprenticeships to the Prime Minister, Theresa May, and will be a special guest at the Asian Apprenticeship Awards on the 10th of November.
Dr. Rami Ranger, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Obviously, really appreciate your support with the Asian Apprenticeship Awards happening on the 10th of November. Kindly, you've agreed to be a distinguished guest and also shared a few words of your journey on that day. We'll talk a little bit about Asian Apprenticeship Awards, but I want to start off with the fact that you're an ambassador for the government in terms of apprenticeships. How did that come about, Dr. Saab?
Well, as an employer, the government is looking for employer to motivate employers.
Yeah.
You know, it's always good because of the stature we have. We can talk to at par with them. And from our personal experience, somebody who has recruited a lot of apprentices, and I can share my experiences with them and give them the benefit and take the policies of the government to them in a language they understand. So I think it's a very important initiative. The government has a target of 3 million apprentices by the end of this parliament, and it's a big task, but it's achievable. And therefore, there are quite a few ambassadors. I'm ambassador in food and drinks because that's my business.
That's your area there.
That's also my and food and drink is a massive business in Great Britain. People don't realize we export as well. My own business export to 130 countries, British food and drinks. So there is a big industry out there, but people don't associate apprenticeship with the food and drinks. They always associate apprenticeship with the engineering businesses.
The blue trades, the blue collar, the engineering.
So therefore, our role is to go and explain to them that the apprenticeship, you can use apprenticeship from a shop floor to the boardroom level. You can train people, and while they're being trained, they can also study up to graduate or postgraduate, whatever
degree level
apprenticeship. And we're looking for high quality apprenticeship. The government emphasize that we are not looking for just any apprenticeship. They have to be trained to be high quality people in the end. So that's the role, and the levy is coming.
A lot of change happening in the sector as well.
So therefore people will end up paying tax. We have to explain to them that this tax can be used to...
It's a good thing for them in terms of investing in their staff and so
otherwise,
forth.
Just paying tax and not taking advantage is also not good for their business. So it's a win-win situation there.
I mean, Dr. Saab, you mentioned the fact that it's a two-way communication. You're obviously talking to employers, but you're also going back to the government as well and advising the government what employers think. Are employers aware of the changes that are happening in terms of apprenticeship levy?
More and more employers are aware, but there's a lot more work to be done. Because levy is a very complicated.
It's very complicated.
So the people don't know how they will reclaim it, what they have to do. And we tell them they can become service provider, and they can use people like yourself.
That's a training.
So just making it easier for them in a user-friendly manner. So we by talking, by discussing, having roundtable discussions, and listening to their concerns, and sharing our experience with them, it's quite useful exercise.
Okay. Dr. Saab, I want to talk a little bit about obviously your business and your journey as well, but more importantly at this moment in time, obviously the climate, there's a little bit of uncertainty, with the referendum that's taken place, with the fact that, we're now going towards leaving the European Union. Obviously you're an exporter, you've won many awards for export, you've won a lot of awards for enterprise and innovation. What's your advice and what's your thoughts in terms of the current climate, in terms of obviously Brexit, the current political situation, the current economic situation? Is it a good time for businesses? Is it a time of sort of adversity, change? Just your thoughts in terms of the current state of play.
The Brexit had happened, although I voted to remain, but this is a democracy. We live in a democracy. People have spoken. They made a decision, and the government has to implement the judgment of people. So there's always, wherever there's a challenge, there's an opportunity. So for 40 years, we were part of the EU. Everything was done in Brussels, and we were not independent to make our decision. But now with Brexit, we will be independent. I had a time to reflect, and I think there is a great deal of opportunity now. We will be able to forge links with different countries very quickly on one-to-one basis. And Britain is no ordinary country. It's a number 5 economy, the fifth largest economy, and it had an empire. It has connection with the
whole
world.
world, yeah.
Is a trading nation. We have Commonwealth, so we already have historic ties with countries like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Canada, Australia, New
A
Zealand,
lot of Africa and so
Caribbean,
forth, yeah.
Africa, Nigeria. So so there's already our trade with these countries. Now we will boost those trades because of when one door closes, the other opens. So I'm very optimistic. There are economies like Japan. We have special relationship with Japan. We have special relationship with America, then China, then Brazil. India is really coming up. 1.23 billion people.
Yeah.
Yes, so there's a huge potential. So I think now Prime Minister is going to India on next 5th, 7th of November. Many people, Liam Fox has been, because they see the huge market potential in India. India is at least needs everything, from high tech to low tech, you name it. So I think I'm quite optimistic that we will be able to uh, take advantage of the Brexit.
It's an uncertainty that there's still a little bit of uncertainty there. Although the future looks bright, potentially is bright, but it's the uncertainty period at this moment in time. In terms of investment, in terms of people taking staff on, in terms of maybe making those decisions to maybe invest in machinery, stock plant, buildings, that sort of thing.
Whenever there's a huge shock in the system,
Yeah.
and we have suffered a very big shock, because so this shock, it will take time for people to absorb.
Yeah.
Yes, and a lot of things have happened. The pound is very weak now,
Yeah.
but that is also very good for the exporter,
Yeah.
because people can buy British product much cheaper,
Yeah.
and the travel will be expensive. So people may travel in the UK itself for holidays.
Yeah.
So it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
I would say about 4 to 5 years before we will stop looking back and we will start looking forward.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. In terms of, obviously, you mentioned the exporters. In terms of currently, the pound is at a very weak point at this moment in time. What about for the importers themselves? Obviously, the country imports more than it exports.
But this is another blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
If we stop
Producing.
importing
Yes.
and start producing the product, because the prices are now high
Yeah.
of imported goods, the people might be encouraged to make
To
things in Britain.
manufactured here and so
And then
forth.
you will create more jobs, because every time we import, we export jobs abroad. So it's always good to look at producing things locally. We can produce a lot of things locally, but because they are so cheap, they're not viable to manufacture. So that might shift some balance in favor of people producing product in the UK.
Okay. Obviously, blessing could be a blessing in this describe. I mean, the manufacturing sector itself has gone through a tremendous amount of change. It used to be sort of high end, it used to be sort of big scale manufacturing. Now it's all sort of high class, sort of sophisticated manufacturing in terms of the current of the manufacturing that's there. In terms of your business itself, you're about brand building, the fast, you mentioned in terms of FMCG sector. It's a very competitive sector. The manufacturing as itself, it's all about investment. Obviously, a lot of it's about high tech, IT revolution. It's about industrial of Internet of Things and so forth, technology and so forth. Just share your thoughts in terms of, obviously, you've got FMCG, fast growth sector. You've got a lot of change happening in terms of technology, a lot of change happening in manufacturing. Just an open, broad discussion in terms of your views on these.
My views are very simple. We are very fortunate. Britain is a knowledge-based economy. we are always looking at innovation and technology. And if you look at the inventions have taken place more in Britain than any other country. So we are geared up. We have world-class institution. We have, Imperial College. We have US, UCL, Oxford, Cambridge. So there's world-class standard people we have in this country, and now instead of having a heavy industry, there's a lot more IT, a lot of computer based, a lot of other things where there's a future. Look at the amount of technology now goes into banking, because naturally banks are reducing their staff, and that staff can be doing something other, layer industry or some other, we can use them. So I think I'm quite optimistic. We will stay at the cutting edge of technology. We'll stay at the forefront of innovation. And the British people have really, as you can see from these tiny islands, they have touched the life of almost everyone in the world. So they are unique people. They are, they excel in everything they do, and we are very fortunate that this country is, there's a rule of law. Everyone is equal. There's no discrimination. There are law against discrimination. So people can exploit their potential without any. There's a lot of opportunities, and there's less hindrance than ever before.
Okay. I mean, you mentioned knowledge-based economy. You talked about obviously patents and so forth. That there's a lot of patents and intellectual property that's registered here as well, and a lot of laws protecting that. In terms of your own organization, you're all about brand building. You've got these products that are out there. You've launched, you're launching products, and it's a world at the moment which is all about multinationals. These big sort of conglomerates that are out there have got big spending power, constantly advertising in terms of obviously the TV and so forth. How does an organization like yourself innovate in this market? How do you compete?
You see, Safra, where again, these big companies bring a lot of challenges to us. But because they spend a lot of money on advertising, marketing, distribution cost, and on a lot of stuff, expensive stuff, their product and services become very expensive. So there is always a market. There's a market for Mercedes, there's a market for Toyota. People need a bag, but not everybody can afford Chanel bag, but they still need good. So that's where people like me, SME, small to medium-sized businesses can come in and provide a product or service to that market where people do not have the ability to buy the big brands, but they still need the
So your
product.
organization, you're more nimble, you're more lean, agile, you can move a
Absolutely,
lot faster.
absolutely.
Okay.
So therefore, we, as you can see, we are growing, and there are a lot of people growing. Small businesses are growing. Horses for courses.
Horses for courses. I mean, rightly so, Dr. Saab. If I go back to my university days, I mean, I studied marketing and so forth, and used to talk about launching a product and how long it takes. And sometimes you're talking about 2 years, 3 years in terms of from start to finish in terms of launching a product. Just tell us in terms of if you're launching a product, what's the process? What do you look at? How do you go about that?
Surprised because I had a humble beginning. I had nothing. I had no financial resources, everything. Then you had to find a way. Find a way to uh, innovate or how to improvise. So I used to think. Then I came to conclusion: the business is merger, acquisition, or strategic alliance. Either you merge with somebody to become bigger, like GlaxoSmithKline Beecham, or you acquire a company. You can buy, like Procter and Gamble bought Gillette or Brown. So I could neither acquire a company nor
Or merge.
anybody wanted to merge with me, because I only started with two parts.
So you're doing strategic alliances, partnerships.
So my logic was to build a strategic alliance with like-minded people who were trying to grow their businesses, and they did not have the muscle like I have. So by joining hand with people in the similar situation, you become double your strength. You double your strength. And also, if you share your profit with somebody, you double your strength. So I decided to build strategic alliances with people. I went out of the market. I went out to exhibit. Exhibitions are very important. You exhibit your product or services, And in the exhibition, you come across people who are also looking to grow their business. So you either you will find potential customer or potential strategic partners. So I found a lot of strategic partners who were in similar position, and I plugged into their already established network distribution channel at no cost to me. Yes, so I decided, and that's how we got into so many countries so quickly, and that is strategic alliance. And then you come back to me how to market your product. There are three ways you can market your product. Number one is you spend great deal of money on advertising, television, newspaper, radio, or big billboards, and
What I call the old media to a certain
yes.
extent, yeah.
So if you spend that much money, you will create brand awareness very quickly because people say. But at the same time, you will incur colossal cost, and the product will become very expensive, and they will be out of reach of ordinary people. But that's the one way. The second, that's what the multinational do. They cost the
It's
biscuit.
constantly on the TV
You buy
and
a
so
branded
forth.
product, branded biscuit or branded drink, energy drink will cost you arm and a leg. But you can buy a similar quality at say at a much lower prices. So my logic was, first was you spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Second is that you've been in the market for time. It's organically growth. That you've been in the market for 100 years, like Heinz have been in the market for
There's a
120 years.
reputation.
So, and it has grown over 120 years. McVitie's, Beecham, like that. So, third is the most effective way is sampling. Because sampling makes people trust the brand.
So give free products out to
Free product, sampling. So this is what is my modus operandi. I go and I give free sample rather than spending £2,000 on a leaflet or poster. I give £2,000 worth of free sample. The logic is very simple. It's a very basic logic. If you remember, mother trying to feed their child first time, they close their mouth. They're very scared. What is she going to put in my mouth? Could be horrible. But then mother will force feed them. They will try the product. They will say, oh, that's all right. They build the confidence, and the next spoon, the mouth is already open. By the time the next spoon reaches there close by. So that's how we have built our customer, by force feeding them, by building their confidence. Then they try our product. You tried my biscuit this morning. Yes? Now you'll buy them. Yes, because you build your confidence. So that was, because necessity is the mother of invention. Because I had the need, I had no money, no resources, so I had to think, and I had to find a way of circumventing this process.
Okay, just to recap, obviously your traditional advertising,
That's very expensive.
that's very expensive. Probably a lot of the cost is going to be incurred in the products, or maybe sometimes 50-60% is all about marketing.
Huge. That 20p product, they spent 40p on it.
And the second one you mentioned, which is organic, which is going to take ages and ages and ages to actually get that brand out there. And then obviously, you're going out there in terms of more lean and agile, which is, let's do some familiarity.
You see, let's say £2,000 you spend on a page. But you do not know how many people will read it.
We don't know what the return is going to be.
Exactly, how many. But for £2,000 product, if I force feed people, they have tried it. Now I know the 2,000 people, at least half of them will like the product.
And if they see next time in the shelf somewhere, maybe they'll
build the confidence.
Okay. Fantastic.
Brands are confidence. When people walk into supermarket, they pick up the brand they trust. So you have to build that trust. Yes, and there are three ways of building that trust.